Keith Cougars. This is an assignment called Determining Tables. We have some XY tables that have numbers that may or may not have relationships one to the other. So we're going to be looking at some tables and deciding what is the relationship between X and Y. Is there an additive or is there a multiplicative relationship between the numbers? And this is kind of the first step to being able to draw math relationships on the coordinate graph. So if we can understand how to work with XY tables today, then these X and Y pairs will be able to be graphed on the coordinate plane. And that is where it gets really cool. So this is a little step along the way to putting math relationships on the coordinate graph. Number 1 says, circle all the tables below that represent y equals 3x. So we're going to be examining 4 different tables, and we're looking for tables that the rule of the table is y equals 3x. And we've actually played something like this at the beginning of the year when we played a game called Guess My Rule. Your teachers would have said, you give me an input number, I'll do something to it that's a secret, and I'll show you the output. And you looked carefully at the input and the output to guess what we were doing to the numbers. It was a game called Guess My Rule. And so this is very much just that game on paper. So we want to figure out which of these tables is following the rule y equals 3x. 3 sitting right next to x means what? That's right, sitting together with no symbol means multiply. So we want to look for tables where they took the x number, multiplied times 3, and got their y number. So we're going to be looking for a times 3 relationship in the tables. I know when I multiply numbers by 3, they should get bigger. So the first thing I like to do is to ask myself, are the numbers getting smaller from x to y, or are they getting bigger? If I multiply a number times 3, I know it should get bigger. I notice in the first table, we're going from smaller to bigger numbers. In the second table, from smaller to bigger. In the third table, from small to big. So all of those might be following the rule. But look at this last table. These numbers go from big to small. If I take 3 and I multiply it times 3, the answer is not going to be something smaller than 3. So I am not circling this right off the bat. Why? Because those numbers are getting smaller. Excuse me. And getting smaller only happens, particularly with whole numbers, getting smaller happens when you subtract or when you divide. So since we're multiplying the x values times 3, I'm expecting these numbers to start small and then the y to be bigger than the x value. I kind of think I want to look at this table first because it has all whole numbers. Is it just me, or does that look easier to start with than these decimal numbers? I think I would like to start with whole numbers. If we were to put 2 in as an x value into our equation and say 3 times 2 equals 6. So this pair of values matches the times 3 rule. If we were to put 3 in for x and say 3 times 3, it would equal 9. So that's another times 3 relationship pair. If we were to put 5 in place of this x and say 3 times 5, 5, 10, 15, it would equal 15. So that pair, x and y, show a times 3 relationship. And the pair 6 and 18, let's see, 3 times 6, 6, 12, 18. That is also a match. So I'm supposed to circle tables that represent y equals 3x. I'm going to be circling that one for sure. But it says tables with an S as if there could be more than one. So now I think we're going to have to be brave and do some investigating of these decimal numbers. We're going to look at that in the next video.